Unless I take it for some specifically.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, APRI. My name is Dian Palmer. I am the president of SEIU Healthcare Wisconsin. It's a union of healthcare workers. There's about 15,000 of us statewide. I am also a state employee and a registered nurse. And I just wanted to welcome you all to Wisconsin. It's so fantastic that APRI was able to change their meeting and bring it to Wisconsin, which is the heart of the fight for working people. We're so glad to have you. So on behalf of all the union members in Wisconsin, and I can truly say that now because in my tenure with the union, this is the first time that we are united, we're solid, we're together in Wisconsin. Yeah. And on behalf of all of them, I want to welcome you here. I hope you come back again to our great state. Right now we're a little ill, we're a little under the weather, but we are planning to pull it together. We're going to get it together. We're going to stamp out all of the things that want to stamp out working class people and working folks, and we're going to get that together and have you all back for a huge celebration, a nice dinner, a nice glass of wine, and we'll sit back and talk about how we came over. So the governor-elect of Wisconsin has been working overtime in trying to stamp out the public sector worker. And I tell my members, I said, it's us this time, because we know that if he gets rid of all the state workers, if he just fires everybody, it still won't balance our budget. And so it's the public sector worker now because he wants to disarm us. And once he has all of our artillery, then he'll come after the rest of the folks. So I don't want people to be misled. This is not a fight just about public sector workers. This is a fight for all working people. So again, thank you all so much for coming. I so much appreciate it. The members in Wisconsin appreciate it. The citizens of Wisconsin appreciate it. And I can truly say that because there's been upwards of 100,000 people at our Capitol, and they're not all public sector workers, saying no. So, and our Democrats appreciate it. We know they do because they went to Illinois to avoid this governor and his wrath. And so we do appreciate you, and please come again. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sheila Cochran, and I am the Secretary-Treasurer of the Milwaukee Area Labor Council. I'm also a very proud member of the Randolph Institute, the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, and even more, a very proud taxpayer in the state of Wisconsin. I first of all want to also, as Diane did, thank our national president of AFL-Randolph for coming and moving their meeting here, because quite frankly, it's a little daunting to be the epicenter of the labor movement right now, but we take the challenge on willingly. I can thank this governor for two things immediately. First, for something a little personal, 10 pounds of weight loss in 40-some-odd days. And secondly, and probably more than that, for galvanizing, as Diane said, a movement. Not only a movement in the state of Wisconsin, but a movement across this nation. We are, as we speak, joined by thousands of union members all over this country, and for that matter, all over the world. We have at our hands the power to make sure that this does not happen again. Our children now understand what labor history is about. Our leadership understands what it means to lead, and our rank and file members definitely know what it means to be in solidarity with leadership. We don't have a lot of big I's and little U's in Wisconsin these days. We just pick up the ball and do what we need to do. So it doesn't bother us that you just decided to pop in at the last minute. Actually, we appreciate it. We've become quite mobile these days. As my president of the state AFL-CIO likes to say, we've been flying by the seat of our pants since this started. There's no reason to stop now. So anytime we can accommodate, we will accommodate. In saying that, I want to say to you, and I know that President Brown is going to speak right after me, but I want to say that from this day forward, between now and Election Day, we're going to make sure that this governor understands what it means to rile organized labor in this state. we intend to begin to take our state back. It will begin with elections in this state. We intend to elect Joanne Kloppenberg to the next to the Supreme Court in the state of Wisconsin. And to make absolutely sure that we don't send any more foolishness up to the state, we're going to elect us a new county executive in Milwaukee County, where I live. And we can only apologize. We tried our level best not to send him here, but the rest of the state decided that they want him. And as I like to say, now that you got him, how do you like him? So I just want to say again, thank you, and thank APRI for being here. The members of the Milwaukee Area Labor Council cover Milwaukee, Ozaukee, and Washington County. And we are in the throes right now of recalling one of the senators who happens to be the chair of the Joint Finance Committee. We want to make sure that Alberta Darling doesn't see another round of being senator in our area. We want to send her back home or to whatever job the governor might give her when she loses her election when we recall her. And then we're going to start to work on anything else that needs to be done. But before we do all of that, we have to be mindful that we are also recognizing between now and Monday one of our heroes in the movement, in the civil rights struggle, is Dr. Martin Luther King. We will on Monday join all over this nation with other labor councils and with other organizations all over, much like this one, in commemoration of a true struggle. And it's very, very pertinent now. I have been listening to Dr. King's mountaintop speech now for the past 2 or 3 days, just because every word in it is so emblematic of what we're going through now. It was workers then, it's workers now, and it will be workers forever. And we are workers. I think one of the things that we have lost along the way is when we introduce ourselves, we always give our acronym. Well, I want to let you know that I am a proud member of the United Auto Workers. We are workers. And when workers unite, we are united in a struggle. So I want to thank you. I want to thank APRI for coming and the press for being here. And the next voice you will hear will be our president, Clayola Brown. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Coming to you this morning following 2 very strong sisters who have stood during the course of this fight is a pleasure for me. I am absolutely reminded of many things as we watch television and watch the struggle snowball into a huge monumental movement of unity that we haven't seen in this country for a very long time. I think the word that I would want to use more than any other would be to say how proud I am to be a worker in these United States of America, because there are workers who are standing up for justice, not just for their job site, but for this entire country. Every step that is taken around that Capitol is a step towards the reinvention of freedom for workers' rights. I am so pleased and so grateful to leaders like Sheila, who reminds us every day of the obligation that we have to keep workers' rights intact, like Dian, who fights every day for workers in a field where they didn't think that they needed a union because they were quote-unquote professionals. But when the dogs come out at night, they don't care what your title may be. They just know that what you have is where they want to cut first. But I wanted to start by fulfilling my obligation to my board this morning by sticking to a piece that we wanted to be sure to share while here in Wisconsin. Standing with me this morning, and I say that even though the board is seated, are members of the National Board of the A. Philip Randolph Institute, representing workers and unions from a number of union organizations around the country. starting with the Service Employees International Union, United Steelworkers of America, Amalgamated Transit Union, International Association of Machinists, American Federation of Teachers, Communication Workers of America, Office of the Professional Employees International Union, International Longshoremen Association, the Maryland and D.C. State Federation, Michigan AFL-CIO, and the list goes on and on. We say the full names because the alphabet soup that gets tied with our own family inside sometimes fail to convey the kind of workers that we are. And people get it twisted. They think that the only workers that will stand up and have a word to say are those that are considered expendable, those without the talent, without the degrees, without the fluff that takes them above the fray of needing a union. Every worker in this country now knows the message and has started to speak to it. That if you work for your daily bread, regardless of the title or the alphabet soup that follows what you do, you are at risk when your rights can be taken away, just like they did prior or after 1877. I say that, and I'm going to digress just for a little bit. There was a piece called Jim Crow, right? Where before 1877, people had a whole bunch of rights, even folk that look like us. There was an entitlement through the due process of the doctrine that governed us here in the United States, where we held high office and were able to do certain things that folks think are just now being invented or just now being acquired. They could not take it away because the Constitution spoke to it. So they figured a way to take away through laws and written doctrines. And that was the Jim Crow practice of taking away the emancipated rights of folk. Y'all following what I'm saying? Because when slavery was there, it was an understood practice, correct? Everybody understood that he was the master and this one was the slave. And the laws on the books were the ones that made the difference. But they started to work that piece little by little. And here we are from 1877, now in 2011, watching the net result of all of that picking apart of the rights that came through the law. If you don't pay attention, folks will pick your pocket. And that's what some of the state houses have been doing, taking away the emancipated rights of folk that we always had and took for granted. People say if you go to sleep, somebody will eat your lunch. Well, they came for lunch, breakfast, and dinner, and they lifted up the thieves into a position to be glorified. But we say, no, that is not what will happen now. And we have the leadership from this state of Wisconsin to thank for that. We have constantly been reminded of words that were said by our founder and leader, Asa Philip Randolph. And I want to reflect on one that goes back to 1959, when Brother Randolph spoke at a convention of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters in Chicago, Illinois. He said, and I quote, "We have assembled together at a time when the world is passing through an apparently chronic crisis. In our own land, American citizens in general and workers in particular are in the throes of a crisis. This crisis is the form of continuing, alternating, ebb and flood tide character of our economy, expressed in varying degrees of intensity of depression and recession. The history of these periods has been marked by the weakening and sometimes liquidation of labor economic structures, namely trade unions, as well as small business enterprises." That was 1959. I'm getting flashbacks of the same thing happening now. He also said it is a well-known fact that some of America's most powerful corporations have taken the offensive at the collective bargaining tables in an open attempt to deny to the wage earners a fair share of the fruit of labor, to weaken, if not wipe out, favorable conditions of work, and to undermine the collective bargaining process itself. End of quote. What did Yogi Berra say again? It looks like deja vu all over again. Well, it seems like Yogi is being profound in his observation, and that Randolph was clear in 1959 about our obligation not to go to sleep at the switch and let those things that we have fought for collectively in a process that is our entitlement be taken away from us. We stand today to say to folk like y'all's governor, because we don't want him, Governor Scott Walker, we will not sit quietly in the corner while you and others like you in Indiana and Ohio and Michigan use your power to take offensive at the collective bargaining tables across this country in an open attempt to deny to the wage earners a fair share of the fruits of labor, to weaken, if not wipe out, favorable conditions of work. And in line with that, to undermine the collective bargaining process itself. The precious jewel of having a voice at the workplace is something that is not negotiable. It's not something that we are willing to have an intelligent conversation filled with great big old words. We go to work every day not because we want to, but because we need to. And walking in that workplace, we have an obligation not only to ourselves, but to those who will follow us as workers, to prepare a place at the table, the banquet table of life, as Randolph said, so that you come there with dignity, expecting respect, and with the courage and backbone to stand up for it. So to those of you who have laid that groundwork, we say thank you. We are here for our board meeting to learn from you. We are not disappearing when we get on the plane to go back home. We are taking the lessons that you have given us so that we can take it back across the country to implement in all the workplaces where we have responsibility. Now, there were some shining examples during the course of the whole piece, and I want to say revolution, because that's what I see it as, and I'm proud to be a part of it, that stand out above and beyond all that goes on. And in some private dialogue that was going on between Sheila and Senator Coggs, there were some revelations that are also nationally felt. That how is it that the leadership from the Democratic side came up with this brilliant idea so quickly and decided to leave the Republicans naked to show exactly who they are and what they stand for. And for that, we especially wanted to say to leaders like yourself, Senator Spencer Coggs, that we are so very proud of the courage that you showed, and we salute you for it. So my salute would be to walk away from this podium and let the next speaker that you'll hear from be one of those proud leaders that gives us the courage to keep going on. Senator Spencer Coggs.
Thank you very much. I really, truly want to thank Randolph Institute for blessing us in the state of Wisconsin for coming here for your executive committee meeting. It shows the solidarity of the labor movement is alive and well. And so it is good to see you all here in warm, wonderful Wisconsin. And just for the record, I am a proud member of AFSCME, okay, District Council 48, Local 1091, all right? And I'm also part of the Milwaukee County Labor Council, as well with Sheila Cochran. And I have to tell you, I just spent several weeks integrating Northern Illinois, because they don't have that many people of color there. They knew what was happening, so when I would walk into a convenience store, people would start nudging each other and they say, "That's the black guy from Wisconsin." And some would actually come up to me and say, "Thank you. We are with you if there's anything you need." And so it was great. I do have to tell you, it was a difficult decision. It was a difficult decision to say, let's go to Illinois as a caucus. 14 Democrats. Okay? Now, you can't get 14 people to do anything together, let alone 14 Democrats. Okay? But we did it. It was a difficult decision, but we had to do it because there was a approximately 1,400-page budget repair bill that eradicated workers' rights through collective bargaining. And the people of the state of Wisconsin did not have time to see it because they tried to pass that 1,400-page bill in 4 days. Just to give you a perspective, usually a bill takes 6-8 months. They wanted to ram this through in 14 days, calling it a fiscal bill. But they put this policy that would take away workers' rights in there, and most of the state of Wisconsin did not know. So we ran to the border to give folks time to read the bill and to protest the bill. Like I say, it was difficult to be away from your family for that long, to be washing your clothes in a hotel sink, and being a stranger in a strange land. But it gave people time to really see what was happening. And when we came back, people called us heroes. And it was humbling. We got off these vans and, we were wondering if there would be crowds of people like there had been at the Capitol. Because, there were hundreds and then thousands and tens of thousands and then hundreds of thousands. So when we came back, we didn't know if the people would still be there. And we had the biggest crowd at the Capitol, ever. So we get off these vans, and there are people calling your name. Lena, Lena, Spencer, Spencer. Felt like rock stars. But it was humbling because I'm a child of the civil rights era. I've been in hundreds of marches. We had an open housing march in Milwaukee, where I'm from, that lasted 200 days. Okay, so we could integrate Milwaukee, and unfortunately, Milwaukee still is the most segregated city in the country. So we still have a lot of work to do. But when we came back and they called us heroes, I had to stop and reflect because I wanted to tell you who my heroes are. It was those people who protested the same day we left in the hundreds. And then they came in the thousands. And they stayed and they slept over. And some of them even cooked and grilled in the Capitol. Folks, it's the people's house. You're supposed to do what you do at home at the people's house. Okay? You own the place. Scott Walker does not own that building. And you could tell that Scott Walker did not own our spirit either. I cannot tell you how proud I felt. I'm sitting in this little hotel in Illinois watching these thousands, tens of thousands of protesters. And I'm going like, where's that at? Oh, that's Wisconsin. And then all over, Hardball with Chris Matthews and Rachel Maddow and Ed Show and even Fox News featured Wisconsin. And I said, I ain't there, but I am so glad and I am so proud of the people of Wisconsin. They did not let up. It wasn't like, okay, 2 days and let's go home. Because we stayed out, they stood up. Okay? And it doesn't get any better than that. So they called us heroes, but we had to say, no, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are our heroes. It was a beautiful synergy. Okay? It was us and the people. So we came back. And there were signs. There were signs everywhere. And some of them had my name on it. And someone said, I'm a constituent of Spencer Coggs, but I have to tell you the truth. The sign that I liked the best, and I actually saw about a dozen of these, and these are all hand-painted. These people did them on their own. This is the sign I loved the most. It said, I'm a Republican, I voted for Walker, and I'm sorry. That was my favorite sign, okay? So brothers and sisters, we're back. We are back. We're back to unite with the same people who were our voice for us when we left to go to Illinois. We're back to fight, we're back to unite, and we're back to take workers' rights back to the people. So here we are, and A. Philip Randolph, thank you for coming, because it just shows that further solidarity. You know, it's one thing, you know, I've been telling people, you know, A. Philip Randolph came to Wisconsin to have their meeting. And people said, that national organization? Yeah. You just keep having us have this real synergy with not just Wisconsin, but the world. I have to tell you, workers' rights mean education rights. Workers' rights mean healthcare rights. Workers' rights mean working families in Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio, New Jersey, Florida, every place that has those terrible governors who tend to be Republican and would have tried the same thing that they tried in Wisconsin. They would have done it, except when we walked out, people stood up. It's, once again, an experience I'll never forget. And April 5th is going to come soon. And it's an election, and it's important, but it's not the end. It's the beginning. It's the beginning because it's the beginning of us taking our workers' rights back. Because if we get Joanne Kloppenberg in the Supreme Court, we rule the Supreme Court. The conservatives no longer will rule the Supreme Court. That's one day that we can take the court back in the state of Wisconsin. In Milwaukee County, where I'm from, we can take our county government back because we can elect a county executive that will be for the people, not for Scott Walker. If Jeff Stone wins, Scott Walker has his little brother in the largest municipality in the state of Wisconsin. Can you imagine how much, I hate to say this word, but it's true, how much slavery will exist in Milwaukee County and continue to spread in the state of Wisconsin? So here we are. Welcome to Wisconsin. You are part of the dawn of a new democracy movement. It happened because 14 people said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. You don't want to listen to my face? Watch my backside. And then that's when the people stood up and came out. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you.
Thank you, Spencer. I'm proud to say that's my senator. I'm next going to introduce President George Gresham. He is president of Service Employees Union, Local 1199, New York.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here in the state of Wisconsin, state of many firsts as it comes to labor. And I'm here representing the president of 1199, which is a healthcare workers union and Service Employees International Union. We're 400,000 members in 5 states and the District of Columbia. I am also here as a proud board member of the A. Philip Randolph Institute, and out of the tradition of both of those organizations, we were compelled to be here today. We're compelled to be here because the conversation for working people is now finally center stage. People who had not been paying attention, people who may have misunderstood what they were hearing as it goes to working people and the whole idea of special interests, people who got confused when even the conversation about tax increases, whether to tax the rich, whether to tax the wealthy, or whether to tax working people. People who were confused on those issues are no longer confused on those issues. There is clearly an attack on working people. There is a clearly attack on us having the ability for collective bargaining, something that has always allowed working people to enter into the middle class. And I'd like to know, when did working people become the problem in this country? When are we going to recognize the corporate greed that has taken over all of us? And it's clear when you talk to people now about the issue of collective bargaining, when you look at all of the national polls, all across all demographics, all political beliefs, people believe that working people deserve the right to collectively bargain. It is clear to me that the agenda of Scott Walker was not an agenda of fiscal responsibility, but an opportunity, he believed, to push working people back in this country and promote the interests of those that have so much wealth and so much greed that if they were to live 10 lifetimes, they could not accomplish that wealth and greed. And it makes one angry. Someone said as we were walking around the Capitol today, say, "You guys haven't given up yet?" We're fighting for our lives. When you fight for your life, you don't give up. We are not losing momentum. We are growing momentum because more and more people are being educated of what this is really about. And it is not being an alarmist to say that the very essence of working people in this country is at stake at this point. But I can tell you that I believe in our union, as we talk to our members, that Scott Walker is probably one of the greatest union organizers in modern times. And if of no other reason, we thank him for being so outrageous that no one can deny the fact that this is an attack on working people. And I accept the invitation that I heard Dian give us to come back here once this is settled. But I don't believe it's going to get settled tomorrow. I believe this is going to be a long struggle. But I believe the stakes are so clear and so important to us in the next generation. As I look around to my 2-year-old granddaughter, Adea, and say that I refuse to leave this planet, turning to you, a country that is worse off than it was. That has never been the history of working people in this country. And we're going to take back this country for working people, for all working people. And we're going to start, as many labor movements did, in the state of Wisconsin. So I'm proud to be here with my sisters and brothers. We stand with the Wisconsin workers, but we stand with all workers in this country to make sure that we get the reward and the dignity that we all deserve as working people. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Brother Fred Mason, President of the Maryland AFL-CIO.
Good morning. Fred Mason, President of the Maryland State and District of Columbia AFL-CIO. And so on behalf of the 350,000 union members that I represent, it was great to be here and bring greetings to Wisconsin AFL-CIO President Phil Neuenfeld. From the very beginning, we were communicating. I'd never met him personally, but my board and our members said that we stand in solidarity with courageous people in Wisconsin. The whole of the American labor movement, the whole of the middle class in this country, the whole of the people that are committed to progress have said that on April the 4th, we're going to come together as one and stand in solidarity, not only with the people in Wisconsin, but what we are seeing, the virus that we are seeing spreading across the Midwest, Ohio, Indiana. And we have to view this as a virus, and we need to come together to stamp it out as quickly as possible. The Randolph Institute has 150 chapters in over 30 states. Every single one of those chapters, along with hundreds of local unions, on April the 4th and the days around April the 4th, will be bringing clear to America, clear to the Scott Walkers of the world, that we are not going to tolerate this, that we are going to come in the spirit of Asa Philip Randolph, who spent a lifetime of fighting discrimination and disenfranchisement, that we're going to come together on April the 4th in the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King, who spent his life fighting discrimination and disenfranchisement. And what we are saying, and I'm glad that President Brown made the reference to 1877 and Jim Crow. Actually, defeating Jim Crow covered the whole period from 1877 to 1963, when people had been enfranchised, disenfranchised through the enactment of black codes, and had to spend almost 100 years enacting a civil rights bill in this country. What we are saying today, it's not going to take that long, because we're going to kill this virus before it can start and gain strength. And we're going to come together all over the country in the spirit of Asa Philip Randolph, Dr. Martin Luther King, on April the 4th, and say that this is our America, and we are not going to give it up to the major corporations and CEOs. Thank you.
Thank you all, and this actually concludes all of our speakers, but I just want to say one quick thing before we wrap up and take questions. We are being broadcast as we speak by Wisconsin Eye, and I have to tell you that had it not been for Wisconsin Eye, the public would not have known what was happening inside of the chambers of the Capitol. And so I want to thank them. They are a nonprofit organization that films the proceedings inside, and they were there to account for every moment of what was going on inside of the chambers, and we appreciate that, because I know I sat and I watched a lot of hours of film. I go back, and we're watching the proceedings now of the court and how all of this is transpiring. So with that, I know the press might have some questions for some of us, or I know especially for Senator Coggs. So anyone has questions, we'll gladly take them. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Sheila. You or the senator might be able to speak to this. I'm just curious what specifically is going to be happening in Wisconsin on the 4th.
Well, I can tell you that from the standpoint of the AFL-CIO, we have broken this up into many different pieces. So in Milwaukee, there are going to be 2 or 3 things happening. I know that here in Madison, there's going to be a big event happening. So in Milwaukee proper, we're going to be gathering. There's a statue of Dr. Martin Luther King between Vine and Walnut. We're going to be gathering from various parts of the community and coming together and commemorating his death. Earlier in the day, one of our AFT locals is going to be marching people over to the municipal building to vote early. And prior to that, actually the entire weekend, people have taken this up and they're going to be doing things. I can't speak to everything that's happening all over the state, but I can assure you that in every little spot that we can, there will be some kind of activity around that.
Let me also just quickly say, before she leaves, we were talking about heroes. Well, when we went to Illinois, the assembly still had to meet, and the Democrats in the assembly still had to battle this terrible budget repair bill. And one of the most stalwart Democrats there was the person who replaced me in the assembly. And I want to recognize her before she leaves. Representative Barbara Tolles is here, y'all. And as was mentioned about Wisconsin I got a chance to see her and my other fellow Democrats in the assembly. And she doesn't know this, but I was rooting every time they got up, and they were trying to make sure that the Republicans wouldn't just bulldoze this bill. I was just, we were watching it on the computer, and we were just going, go for it, go for it. So we just want to thank you.
Anyone else?
I have another question.
Sure.
Senator, can you explain what you meant by your earlier comments about slavery and the race going on in Milwaukee?
Yeah. Slavery is a harsh word. But it fits in Milwaukee County because what we have is Scott Walker, before he became governor, was the county executive of Milwaukee County. And let me tell you what he did. he would propose a budget that could not be passed, but then he would always say, and it would have no tax increase, but it wouldn't fully fund any services. So people could have potentially, if his budget had passed, there would be people who would be out of work. There would be people who wouldn't get proper health care. There would be people who would not have the same quality of life. And when you begin to squeeze people economically, you are economically enslaving them. Okay? And Scott Walker, in his tenure as county exec, each time he presented the budget, he presented that budget in that way. Now, Scott Walker is not a complete fool. What he knew what was going to happen was that the county board would then save his sorry hide each and every time. Okay? And then he would blame them for raising taxes. Okay, so he had it both ways. He would lie to the people about what his budget did, then he would lie to the people about what the county board's budget did in preserving the quality of life. A lot of people say bad things about Milwaukee, but the quality of life in Milwaukee, with its health care, with its park system, with its transit system, as poor as it is, really does support the people. To deny the people those services is a form of economic slavery. And that is what Scott Walker engaged in at that time. Now, he's the governor. And now he's proposed a system in the budget repair bill that would hurt working families and deny them their worker rights through collective bargaining. Then, to couple that, he has a budget bill that will be coming up soon that we have to vote on, that in effect says it pits municipalities, cities, counties, villages against public employees. Okay? And he's saying the municipalities are the good guys and the workers are the bad guys. Okay? And he's saying if you all don't fight in this arena that I've put you in, then you can't run the city. Okay? So he is setting up this us versus them mentality, and it shouldn't be. Workers, as was said before, are taxpayers. Workers are users of city, county, and municipal services. So why are workers being portrayed as the bad guys? Let me give you a quick example. If in the past you couldn't ask for more money as a labor negotiator, you would have to go for, okay, let's see what I can do to improve things for my health care. Or let me see what I can do to improve things for when I retire, my pension. Okay, now that's just logical. And so labor was successful at it. And Scott Walker wants to hold it against labor being successful. Now, I recall when a person does well on Wall Street, improves him or herself on Wall Street, you say that that person is very smart and very successful. When workers do it, they call it greedy. Okay, so it's a quality, it's definition. And workers who have improved themselves, not getting more money, but just getting more health care for their families and pension rights for them and their families, have been called greedy. So what you have is not just a Wisconsin phenomenon. The reason that these people are here from all over the country is because there is an assault on working families all over the country. And it looks like it's part of the Republican playbook. And we're here to defeat it. Any more questions? If not, thank you, and thank Wisconsin. Aye.